depending on the city you're in, right? I mean, we all have now the wonderful, I mean, seriously, that was like a gift, which was the Upfront destination, right? Upfront fares. We got a couple of weeks ago in LA. I'm like, wow, if you guys say negative things about this, then you just might as well go do something else. So long story short, in LA, I'm sure you're familiar with LA traffic. If I make that right turn and there is a blockage or an accident or something is happening, right? That trip is going to get delayed by solid 15, 20, 30 minutes. So another complaint that we've been getting with the upfront fares and upfront destination is that, yes, Uber is sending the upfront fares, but then due to some unforeseen reason, if the trip goes another half hour, since the upfront fare does not rely on minutes or destination, duration and distance, how is that going to get calculated? And it's just that I don't mind making all the right turns. The other question I had in my head, but I was thinking, getting ready for the interview, was that, a lot of people are backseat drivers, Sachin. You know that, right? If you drive enough, you're going to get into, so why'd you make that right turn? Why'd you make that left turn? Like, buddy, this is the way the app is showing, right? So those two questions came up. If you can elaborate just a couple of minutes on them, I appreciate it.
Those are excellent questions, and very much along the lines of what we hear from drivers. So thank God we talk to drivers as we build these products and people like yourself. So hopefully, I think we have done a good job of implementing these things in our products. Let's first talk about the routing. You mentioned if I take a right turn and then there's a blockage, or the backseat driving by the rider. One of the core principles for us, as we were changing our routing algorithm to minimizing left turns, is right. We're not going to add too much time and we're not going to add too much distance.
Okay.
Now, when our routing algorithm is in motion, we are taking into account not just the roads, and not just the distance, but also the traffic. So because we measure the time as well, and obviously the traffic will have to be taken into account if we measure time. So if we are going to ask you to take a right turn and there's traffic there, we would know, which would mean that it's going to take more time. And in that case, we would not send you down that route. So okay. It's very important to us. And the second thing is, when we ran the test and we tried it with the algorithm and without the algorithm, the other thing that we were thinking, that we were watching for, is drivers' feedback through rerouting. Because the way a driver would express their feedback that, hey, this route doesn't work for me, even though Uber, you're recommending me, is, look, a lot of drivers know the cities really well. They'll just take another route. They will not follow the route that is provided by us. So we always measure that to see what is the reroute rate on our platform. And we saw that the reroute rate did not increase. Okay. So that's why we have been very carefully working on this for many quarters. And we feel like now we are at a good point to launch this. That said, if we'll get feedback, we'll continue to work on this. We think of these things as highly iterative. Now, to your second point about upfront fares, again, great point. So the way it will work is you will receive an upfront fare, but if for whatever reason, the amount of distance you end up going, let's say the rider gets in the car and says, actually, I want to go 2 miles further. I'm sure that happens some of the time. Or as you said, you're stuck in traffic and it takes you half an hour extra. We do calculate that. And we will have what we call a fallback fare. So your fare will be updated. In fact, we just changed, if that ever happens to you, you will notice in your receipt, we'll tell you, Sergio, your original fare was $10, but you paid $13 because of certain changes on the trip.